Algebra Academy, and for today's video, the main question is the same as last time's, and it is how to sketch a parabola when given a standard form quadratic equation. And in the last video, we covered that there are two main points that you need in order to sketch a parabola, and those are the x-intercepts of the parabola and the vertex. And we also covered in the previous video that there are two ways to do this. You can use the x-intercepts and then find the midpoint and then find the vertex from those x-intercepts, or you could rewrite the whole standard form quadratic equation in graphing form. And that's what we're going to cover how to do in this video. To learn how to rewrite quadratic equations in graphing form, we're going to be using the equation of y equals 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. And writing in graphing form involves something that we already know how to do, and that is completing the square. So all we have to do in order to basically move our equation from standard form to graphing form is complete the square. And completing this square is a little different than how we completed the square for an equation in our completing the square video, because this equation has an a value of 2. So in this case, because all the numbers are divisible by 2, we can just divide everything by 2, giving us a new equation of x squared plus 3x plus 2. So we rewrite that as x squared plus 3x equals negative 2, and we simply complete the square, like normal. But then, because we still factored out that 2 in the beginning, we have to multiply both sides of our equation by 2 to make sure that we still have everything balanced. We're not like just removing any numbers. We still have them accounted for. So once we complete our square normally, as if our a value is 1, we would get quantity of x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 1 over 4. But now we have to account for that 2 that we factored out before. So we multiply both sides of the equation by 2, which gives us 2 quantity of x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 1 over 2. So now that we have our equation, in order to put it into graphing form, all we have to do is move the 1/2 from the right side of the equation to the left side of the equation. So our equation in graphing form is 2 quantity of x plus 3 over 2 squared minus 1/2. So now that we have our equation in graphing form, what exactly is the point of graphing form, or what exactly does it say? Well, for parabolas or quadratic equations, graphing form is written in the form a quantity of x minus h and quantity squared plus k. And here, h and k, h comma k, tells us what the locator point of our parabola is. And for parabolas, the locator point is the vertex. So when an equation is in graphing form, all you have to do is really look at the h and the k value, and you can easily figure out the vertex, instead of going from x-intercepts, finding the midpoint, then taking the midpoint and then plugging it back into the equation and solving for y. So graphing form is a lot easier when it comes to finding the vertex. So because our equation is 2 quantity x plus 3 over 2 squared minus 1/2, we can easily tell that our vertex is at negative 3 over 2 comma negative 1/2. And the reason it's negative 3 over 2 is because when in graphing form, the equations are written as minus h. And for our locator point, we need positive h. So it'll always be the opposite of whatever is in this h section. So because we have positive 3 over 2 for h over here, our actual h value is negative 3 over 2, which is why this is our vertex. Now, to have our vertex, all we need left in order to have all the main points needed for our parabola is we need to find the x-intercepts, and we can easily do that from our graphing form equation. So all we have to do is move the 1/2 back to the right side of the equation and then isolate x. So start by dividing by 2, which gives us quantity of x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 1 over 4, and then we find the square root of both sides, which will give us x plus 3 over 2 equals positive or negative 1/2, and then we just have to subtract 3 over 2 from both sides. And that gives us x equals negative 2 and x equals negative 1. So now we have our two x-intercepts, which are at -2, 0 and -1, 0, and we have our vertex, which is at -1.5, -0.5. And we can double check that when we graph everything on our graphing calculator.